Good morning.
It's Tuesday.
It is Tuesday. Good morning and welcome to the What's the Temp podcast. My name is Betina and I am coming in hot.
My name is Jen and I need to check in so I don't check out.
Today's episode, which I'm sure Miss Jen is really excited about, is called, do you guys notice I'm putting everything on her lately? But this one is called,
what the heck?
The Friendship Minefield. And this one's going to be interesting this week because I have to come out of my shell and I've been struggling with this over the last several weeks. So go ahead, Jen, walk us into it.
I love that transparency. So I am so excited for this one.
You see what I mean?
Waiting
you
for
see what
this
I mean?
one. I've been waiting for this one. Is it since before we started the podcast? I cannot wait to talk about this. I have actually done research on this one, just in the sense that I've interviewed several people I know. So I'm coming into this fully loaded, armed with multiple perspectives. But I do want to bring up last week's episode, When Love Isn't Enough. We had talked about how we were raised on romantic comedies. So I was very Meg Ryan, Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock. Those were my top three. That's who I lived my life via when I was a tween and teen. And Meg Ryan in When Harry Met Sally, the naive, beautiful person saying, I have lots of male friends. And then him basically saying men and women can't be friends because the sex part always gets in the way. So I will tell you, and I'm not going to give too much away, but I interviewed a bunch of people about whether they have friendships with people of the opposite sex, and I didn't come across one situation where sex was not at least mentioned. So I'm just going to leave it there for now.
So let's go into our temp checks then. We're just going to dive right into this because this one's hot and heavy.
There's a lot here.
Our temp check today is platonic possibility temperature. And Jen, I want to kick this one off. I'm sorry. I just got to get into it because I can't I can't handle you right now.
What?
So for
this
me,
is an energy reversal.
Yeah.
You're usually full throttle and I'm laid back.
Oh, no. I have chills. Like I have what do you call it? Hives, like little bumps all over, goosebumps all over my skin right now. So I can't give you my temperature until I set the scene. I have to preface my temp check with some background.
Love it.
So I said in the Love Isn't Enough episode that I had kids at home. I'm glad that you mentioned that early because I needed to go back to that.
Let's go back.
I said that when I had kids at home, that my focus was on them and not on romantic relationships. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
And the reason why was because, I saw people that should have prioritized their families and didn't. And because I had already had a rocky start, I just felt that it was just a good bet to prioritize my children. And I also didn't have the emotional capacity to do both. I couldn't do love on my kids the way I needed to and have a romantic relationship. So
that's legit.
I had encounters, and that was what I said in the episode.
Encounters. I remember it well.
So now that we're talking about the friendship minefield, I have to go deeper into that. The issue that I have is I want to be careful how I tell those stories because I don't want to promote a life that I don't live anymore. So I want to start with the framework that distinguishes the difference between confession and testimony. Okay?
All right, I'm ready.
Confession is acknowledging what's true. Testimony is showing what God did with that truth. Okay? Because I was a whole mess and we just going to tell the truth. I can't lie. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to gloss over it. But at the same time, I don't want to promote how I used to be, if that makes sense.
I would not have taken it as a promotion, but okay.
So I'm not.
I don't think you're endorsing.
I don't plan to chronicle the details of my past behavior, but I also have to honestly acknowledge that I lived differently then and that I've been changed.
We all do.
Okay?
We all do.
So that said, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
I used to approach opposite sex friendships very differently than I do now. They were transactional. I kept an emotional distance. And when things ended romantically, then we were free to go ahead and let the natural friendship sprout up. And I never crossed the boundaries. Like, I always had some very, very clear delineations. Like, I was the person that set the rules. I was the one that said, hey, listen, I'm not looking for a relationship, but a girl got needs, right? So these are the rules. This is what we're going to do. And I always say, we'll work by the rules. It's so funny. I watched this show called Atypical on
Yep,
Netflix.
I know it.
Love this show.
Yep.
It's my second time watching
Yeah,
it.
it's so cute.
And he's amazing. And he's like, I love rules. Betina loved rules. Like, I was like, these are the rules. And I kept them. And so I wasn't the girl that caught feelings when the relationship was casual, right? The guys always did. That was where the problem was. But I could keep the emotional distance. And then for the ones that knew how to keep it above board, like, these are the rules, we stuck by them. Then when it was over, it was like, all right, let's be done with that, because I've met someone and I want to try and date him. Or I need to focus on, I'm going through a big thing with my kids right now and I got to stop this, got to put this on hold. So let's just be friends. And we were able to do that. And you know, sometimes it would come up, but for me, the best ones were where it was what it was then, and now we can change into this now. And it doesn't have to always come up in conversation. I don't like that. I don't fancy that when what happened is always like, hey, remember when you, that's weird to me. Because I'm not in that headspace now, right? So I was very much like a guy in that way. I thought I was being logical about it, but I was actually avoiding real vulnerability and connection. And so my temp check is 350. My temperature is 350 because I used to be a man about it. But I do believe that you can have platonic relationships. And I'm going to give you the arc from where it started and where it is now.
Yes.
I have a friend that I have 100% kept my hand. I have friends now, male friends that I have 100% kept my hands off. When I got out of my dudish behavior, when I came out of my encounter state of mind and I got into my relationship framework, everything changed for me because I'm actually loyal in a relationship. Like, I'm not a cheater. You know what I mean? And so I don't just, molest my friends.
Okay, I just have one follow-up question before we transition into my temp check, though.
Mm-hmm.
Are there thoughts
for me of like, oh, what would have been, or oh, no.
Just like, are there any thoughts that are of a sexual nature?
No.
None.
Not for me. Mm-mm.
So it's completely platonic on your end.
Completely platonic.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm not that person. Even though I am a guy in that way, I'm not the guy. I can completely shut it off.
Yeah, you can.
And I don't romanticize it. I don't think about, remember when I'm not that person.
Right. But also it sounds like even in your previous life, you were very heavily compartmentalized with it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I'm excited to get into that.
Okay. So now how about you?
So my temp check is 70 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Because is it warm? Is it not? That's a really borderline temp, I think. I basically am saying that I don't think that it's that likely that the combination of the two people, neither one of them would have at least a passing thought.
That I agree with.
Unless one of them or both of them is gay.
I actually agree with that part only because I'm saying that I'm not like that, but the guy wants to say, hey, remember that? That's weird to me. And I'm like, yeah, I remember, but moving on to this, what I called about.
Yeah, but also the funny thing about that is in the setup that you just described, you don't need to have those thoughts because it's been done.
Yeah.
So I think part of the man-woman, the tension is that it's the what if, it's the mystery, there's innuendo, there's poking at possibilities, there's a lot of room there for, what do I want to call it? Just, there's an open-endedness if this has never become that. Whereas if this has already been that, I think that there's a greater ability to shut the door on it. So I'll give an example. One time, this is not someone who I actually ended up getting with, but this is someone who I had feelings for while I was in a relationship, in a committed relationship. And this was a friend, but I was feeling some type of way about this person. They came in, they were new on the scene, they shared a lot of common interests with me, they were attractive, I was someone who I had repeated exposure to. And I think this is also the perfect time to introduce another concept I learned about in social psychology class, which is that the number one predictor of attraction, what do you think it is?
The number one predictor of attraction?
Yes.
Intellect.
You're way off.
I'm going to say section.
So that's one of the answers that people would give. They would say matching values or intelligence, or it could be physical appearance, or it could be common interests.
I'm sure
there's a lot of different
more
answers.
Primal.
Yeah. Or it could just be sexual attraction, but actually it's none of those things. It's not values, it's not common interest, and it's not even physical attraction. It's exposure.
Yeah.
How many times
you're around that person
do you see them? Yes. Your first guy, case in point, not attractive to you, but he was always around, and something tipped over. And I've had that experience too, where it's like, this person doesn't match up at all to what I would want on paper, but something over time, it's that exposure.
Kind of grows on you.
Yes. So I've just found that fascinating for a couple decades now. So I thought that was worth throwing out there. But this person, I got all this advice: put blinders on, don't look at them that way. And then what ended up happening is I got one kind of unconventional advice from someone else, and they said, no, the mystery is the problem. You're idealizing them. You're projecting a fantasy on them because,
it.
Yes. So what you need to do is you need to lean in. You need to get closer so that you can wake up to the reality of them, and then you're going to have a lot more information at your hands.
I actually agree with that, because when you look at them honestly, when you can take off the rose-colored glasses and you can see them like, ooh, that would never work for me. Ooh, that would never work for me.
Yes, you need to find out the data.
Yep.
Yes.
Lean in.
So what it ended up being, and I leaned in because it wasn't working. For me, it doesn't work to put blinders on. My brain is very powerful, very tenacious. So I leaned in, and then there were two things that were just major deal breakers for me. Number one thing is that they didn't like sauces.
Yeah, I'm into sauces.
And it wasn't just the sauces thing, because the other thing is that they didn't like salt.
Oh, interesting.
Now, salt is my number one love. So in these conversations that we had, it became evident that the way that this person would eat is to eat steamed broccoli and bland, unseasoned chicken breasts.
Ew.
I was like, forget it. Forget it. You know how my life revolves completely around food.
Jen left a man for food.
I was like,
that's worse than I left somebody for gout. But you left somebody for food. Like, you got me beat.
It's over before it started. And then there was this one other thing, which is that they gave a lot of unsolicited advice, and I was like, ew,
yeah,
get out of here with that.
No one asked you
so
for that.
There was just, it was, the right thing was to lean in, but I think it makes more sense to me the way that you are, which is that if it's already transpired, there's no mystery to it. There's no ability to idealize. There's no ability to project.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Yes.
And even if it's really good, even if it was really good, like, I still can, I'm like, okay, that's done. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm done.
Yeah. So I'm keeping it pretty open-ended, but I do want to say the quote, one of the interviews that I performed in preparation for this is somebody
that we
said
had to call people.
I did. I wanted to speak with a variety of viewpoints because I think my viewpoint is really unusual because of my sexual orientation. I had a lot of latitude that your typical straight woman wouldn't. But I spoke with my friend and I said, do you think that you can be friends with a man or that men and women can have platonic friendships? And she said, I can be friends with a man, but I think there's always a little something on their end. And then she followed that up with saying, it's like a grilled cheese sandwich. If it's there, they're eating it. And if it's not there, they don't ask.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
Calling you up at 2 in the morning, but you don't want to talk, you don't want to bother. Yeah, so I take another shot, let my brain do the walking. I don't want to be your friend, I want something real. Maybe if I stay the night, you could feel the same. And maybe if you treat me right, we could rearrange. But I'm not even going to try.
Okay, so let's get into the backstory then.
Let's do it. I'm ready for it. Bring it. Just bring it. Give it all to me.
Your excitement is really rubbing me the wrong way because it just feels like you're ready to get into the like, ooh, 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 and that makes me nervous.
Really? Have you met me before? Have you ever met me? Why are you surprised?
Okay, so the backstory is...
Give me the tea.
Times when opposite sex friendships thrived without romantic implications or complications. And for me, I have to give the arc here because I have to talk about...
I love an arc. I
have to talk about how it started versus how it is today.
My favorite type of arc.
How it started was I was the girl where if I saw something I was interested in, I just went after it. So years ago, I'm talking I was probably 28, 29. A close friend of mine, we were at a party and she was like, oh, she took all of her girlfriends. It was probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 of us that night. And we were out hanging out, dressed really nice. And we went to this club. The guy that was hosting was like her play uncle. And apparently all the other girls knew the uncle. Right?
Okay.
And so they all called him Uncle So-and-so. So I remembered we were at our table and I was looking at him and I was looking him up and down. And I was like, oh, he's dressed really nice. Oh, he's really handsome. Oh, he's a crooner. Oh, he's sexy. So then by the time, so I had all these thoughts in my head that I was keeping to myself as I was sipping on my little cocktail. And then by the time he came over to the table, she was making the introduction and she was like, this is my friend Tina and this is my Uncle So-and-so. And so he reached out his hand and said, you can call me Uncle So-and-so. I said, you are not my uncle. You will never be my uncle because I'm going to do something to you.
You're forward.
And did too, and for years. But I'm saying that to say that is like a family member for me now. So it's so funny. He'll call me like
pickup artiste.
I was not playing around, but I'm not like, I'm just straight. Like, what are we playing for? What are we going to play for?
Go for the jugular.
And it's funny because he'll call now and say, this is Uncle So-and-so. I said, even though we're not there anymore, you're still not my uncle because now it's just incestuous. Like, you're not my uncle, you know? So we'll have a good laugh and then we'll go on with the conversation. But that is how it started. So then I feel like I have my friend Corey, who has been my friend for over a decade. And he's been the friend that I've 100%, he was like the beginning of me meeting people that I kept my hands off of. Like I wasn't even open to that because he came in during the time that I was in my committed relationships.
Okay.
So
there was a boundary.
There were boundaries. People that I've met since then, you know, even alongside him. I have people that call and check on me and it's like, hey, so-and-so, you know, how's this? How's that? How's your wife? How's your kids? And then I'll remember that 20 years ago, I'll remember after the phone call, like, man, I remember we used to, you know, bop around a little bit, you know?
Bop around.
Well, yeah, but it's funny because it's so innocent now. Like, hey, I'm just calling to let you know that a mutual friend of ours passed away. But I love those kinds of relationships where we can have, and something has to spark my memory like in the back because you didn't. And I love that. I love that there can be a separation. I love that there can be, it was what it was, and today it is what it is, and the twain shall never meet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love that. I love that. So I feel 100% confident that you can have, like, I have friends that I can tell, they've watched you and they're attracted to you, but they also understand it'll never be. And so they don't even go there. Make sense?
How can you be sure that they don't still have an openness to that?
It doesn't matter because I don't have an openness to it.
Okay.
So it does, what they're fantasizing or might be dealing with in their private time doesn't matter because I'm not open to it at all.
So it doesn't
even
matter
though I'm
to you
single,
that they might not be in that place.
It doesn't matter.
Huh.
It doesn't matter because that's not what this is. It would be different if we had met under different, times or where I was in a different headspace or whatever. But yeah. I feel like trying to dibble and dabble in certain things just brings a lot of headaches. So say if I'm in a committed relationship right now, right? And then I have all these people that are still in my life that I've touched in the past. I'm not going to flaunt them in front of my person because that to me is disrespectful.
Yeah, how does that work? Can they meet your significant others, your future significant others?
They can meet by happenstance. It just depends on where it is, and it depends on how respectful the person is. Because like I said, a lot of times we're mature. Like I'm mature in that I can never, ever mention what happened again, even when I'm having a personal conversation with you. But a lot of times the other person may not be that way. They want to go, ha, 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 and that's not cute to me. And so what if that person feels some kind of way because someone else got the girl, right? And then they want to let your person know that, one day, back in the day. And I'm never going to give you that opportunity.
Oh, so you wouldn't tell your partner that you...
of course I would. Of course I would. But I'm never going to give it to you. Like if they don't feel comfortable with you being in our space, then unfortunately...
So you'd let your future significant other decide?
Depending on their level of confidence.
So it's not really a platonic friendship then in a way because it has different rules that apply. Like if there's a friendship, but I can't introduce my husband to my friend, then it's not really like a regular friendship.
The thing is, here is the thing. To me, it is. Like, so I didn't invite Uncle so-and-so to my wedding. And that was a source of contention for us. And partly because not that they hadn't met and we haven't been in the same place and things like that, but I felt that because I knew what it was, I just felt like it was inappropriate to me. That was a Betina thing.
Yeah.
I felt it was inappropriate.
Would you have felt during the time you were with your person, would you have felt like if you were to have a phone call with Uncle so-and-so, you'd have to kind of like step out the side a little bit?
No,
or could you
not at all.
fully
Not
let
ever.
that friendship thrive within full view of your man?
Fully.
Okay.
Fully.
And he was okay with it and he knew your history?
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. So I guess we have to define then what a friendship is. But here is the thing. Even though I think it's one thing, I can't necessarily account for how the other person may feel about what it was.
Yes.
At one time. Especially if I'm being honest.
Or if there's a door that could still open on either of your parts. It's always different between men and women in the sense that it is theoretically possible that one person could catch feelings even if they don't have them currently.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it different than a platonic friendship.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. I actually called, so I have 3 male friends who I'm quite close with, who I speak with regularly. And I interviewed 2 out of the 3 of them for this podcast. And I want to go into
Come on, Barbara Walters.
I normally don't have the time between kids and working to prepare, so I'm just completely improvising everything I say when we talk. But one of my friends who I spoke with, he basically said, I'll give you an example of what I consider to be platonic versus not. So he says he has a lot of women friends. His current partner is okay with him having all these women friends.
Okay.
But he says that when he's having these conversations, like he'll have these conversations with his women friends about what they each want in their lives, right? They'll just be having a conversation like that. And he then says that somewhere in the back of his mind, there's innuendo there. There's this thing that's in the room and that's on the table that's saying, what if you and I were to get together in the future?
That's not a platonic relationship then.
No. And then I asked him, so he's acknowledging that he can't, but then he's saying somewhere, this is a direct quote, somewhere in the back of your mind, you'll want to sleep with them. I will admit that all of the women I've been friends with, I would sleep with. Yes, 100%.
And that's because he's not a gay man. You know what I mean? And so he sees them, he sees the femininity, but I think that it goes deeper than boundaries. I really feel like it's your ability to compartmentalize, honestly. Because if I'm always walking around you attracted to you, then can I call you my friend?
That's what I'm saying.
Just
so if it's in your head,
hoping that I have an opportunity.
Yes. Or if it's in your head, even if you're not taking action on it, it's still not platonic. So I gave him this counterexample. So he said, these allusions to the future that, yes, you're not in a position to do that now. They might be, but you're definitely not. You're definitely not. But you are alluding to a future together. And I said, okay, listen, when me and Betina are talking about what we want for ourselves and for our futures, like there is zero of that
Zero
would ever
innuendo.
be any type of innuendo, any type of illusion. Like that is,
which is the foundation of an authentic friendship.
Yes. There's no reading on any meter that you could possibly get that would register anything. Like it's just not a thing. So that is a platonic relationship. And then what you are talking about is not a platonic relationship. So then he said, this was really brilliant actually. He said, sexuality, so he's very sex positive and he's saying sexuality is normal, but it's those definitions of friend and husband and wife, those definitions create boundaries. So when you are speaking with someone who is a husband to someone else, when I am a wife to someone else, regardless of what types of thoughts I might have, there's a boundary here. So he's saying it comes down to your willingness to cross boundaries. Now he's saying it's normal to feel attracted to someone, but it's situational. Can this happen? Now, the next boundary that he introduces is that it's not just the boundary of would you, but it's actually a moral boundary. So he's saying basically, he added, his parents have been together since they were 15. Every girl that he's ever even looked at, he's wanted a long-term relationship with them. So he's not some guy who wants to like slut around. He's not a bachelor like that. He wants to find a partner for life. That's what he's always wanted. But he's saying that a lot of these people that he's talking to are married. He was married at one point, and he doesn't ride like that. So the secondary boundary, besides the definitional roles of friend, the labels, friend, husband, wife, committed, relationship, like those words that create boundaries, he says that there's also an additional boundary, and it's a moral boundary. It's a boundary that because he lives as a man of integrity, he would not trespass in that way because it would make him feel some type of way. It would make him feel bad about himself. It would make him feel sick. It would make him feel regretful, guilty, remorseful. So there's a secondary boundary in place, which is that I would not do that. And that I could really identify with because I mentioned 2 episodes ago also that, or maybe 3, that I had cheated on my partner. I had also been cheated on. And once I had that experience of what that feels like and the way that it tears you apart and the way that it makes you question who you are, how good of a person you are, everything that comes along with that, because it comes along also with lying and deception and equivocating, and it's horrible. It just turns you, it just pollutes you. And so now, because I've had that experience and because I've also experienced it from the other end, I can firmly say that I would never cheat on my partner. Now, that brings me to my interview with Herschel. I also interviewed Herschel about this because he has a lot of female friends, and I don't understand it, because how is he the epitome of the man's man? How is he the one who has all female friends? He's such an enigma. And he basically said a very similar thing to what you said, which is he said in a past life, he could not have had female friends. It always would have become sexual. But now he can, and he thinks, Herschel's a man of few words. So his statement was that it depends on your maturity level, which kind of echoes what my other male friend said, which is that, well, actually, it was a little different than what my other friend said, because Herschel was basically saying that he does not really have sexual thoughts about his friends. And I don't know if that's also because a lot of his friends are older women, but yeah. There's a lot here. I think we should progress, but I have more interviews to give you. But let's move on to the next.
I'm actually enjoying this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
All right, well then let's go into our life focus, which is we've touched on navigating the assumptions that people make, because the thing is, it's what your partner can handle.
Yeah, I think,
I mean?
We've touched upon it a little bit.
Yeah, we've touched on it a little bit, because what happens is, like I said, if your partner can't handle it, then these are the things. Remember, we were talking in Love Isn't Enough about all the things that come into play when you're looking into getting into a romantic relationship with someone. And this is it, their capacity to accept the types of friendships you have.
Yes.
If they believe that you are a person of integrity to the point that you're not going to sleep, even if you have in the past, that's not something that's going to happen going forward, that kind of thing, if they can handle that.
And it's not even just that. It's also just, what is your own predisposition towards jealousy?
I have always been of the thought that if I've never been jealous of any of my partner's friends, because I feel like I'm the whole package, and I always felt like I was the whole package, like I'm doing all the things. And so if someone can get you from me, she earned that, and I'm going to give her a pound when I see her.
Wow.
Not a beat her up pound. I'm going to give her dap.
Really?
When I see her, because you got to be a real one. You got to be a bad one if you can pull mine. That was how I thought, because I did the work. I put the work inside the relationship.
Wow.
So I wasn't like that slack partner.
Yeah. That's so interesting, because it's completely different for me. It's like, I think I just trust in the fact that he is monogamous. Like, I just have a fundamental trust of him. I don't feel like I have to work for it at all. It's just that I just don't think I'm a jealous person. Like, he went to his cousin's bachelor party. I gave him money to go to the strip clubs. I was like, have a great time. Knock yourself out, because you are not. I'm not offering lap dances up in here. So go crazy. Right. Get as many as you possibly can. I will bankroll that.
Hilarious.
I don't care. It's like, I mean, and the stripper is going to be like 10 times hotter than me, but it's like, it's just a different thing. Like, I'm okay with you having some type of transactional tease, because like, that's not what I'm bringing to the table.
Right.
You know, and that does not threaten me.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
What we have is a family. What we have is a home. What we have is, you know, this
Does not come a dime a dozen,
time-tested.
honey.
Yeah. I mean, beautiful women are a dime a dozen, I think. There's so many of them.
That the other side of it, though, for me is while I have the confidence that I have, I also pay attention to patterns. And so I'm never going to check my partner's phone. I'm never going to
Yeah, me
snoop
neither.
because I just don't have time for that kind of stuff.
If I even
you know
think I
how-
have to, you're
If I
out.
have
Like,
to, you're not
I
my
don't
person.
trust you.
If I have to, you're not my person.
Yes,
But
exactly.
but what makes me trust you is all the things that was established in the beginning, and then establishing the patterns and you adhering to those patterns. Because the second a pattern is off, that's when my little doggy ear goes up, and I'm like, I'm starting to look at things, and then if I start to look at things and discern that I can't trust, then I'm out.
Okay.
Because it's too much to lose.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go into this life focus, which is
Yeah, what was it?
exploring whether men and women can truly be friends, examining societal assumptions versus personal experience, and creating space for authentic connection beyond romance. That's a whole mouthful.
Okay. I'm gonna lead this one off.
Please don't.
So before I had mentioned that I think I'm kind of an outlier when it comes to having friendships with men. And the reason why is because since I was 17, I mostly dated women. So I always would date a man here or there, but mostly I was with women. So typically I was either hooking up with or in a relationship with a woman. So when it came to male friendships, I really didn't have any attraction to any of my male friends. And I want to do me, and then I want to do one counterpoint of someone I actually interviewed this morning. Because I wanted to make really sure that I went and I interviewed one woman who I know to have a sex drive that was equal to or greater than any man I know. I
love
wanted to
that.
make sure that I was also leaving room for that.
And
so
you didn't call me. Anyway.
I knew I was talking to you later, so.
Just kidding.
But so I was not threatening to these men's girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember specifically, there was one guy that I fell in love with platonically when I was living in New York City. I met him at an open mic night that I used to host. He was an incredible musician. He was very much a beta male, and I like a beta male. Like very sensitive, artistic, brilliant. And he gave me his album. He gave me a CD that he had made, and I remember bringing it home to my apartment, and when I listened to it, I basically just almost like collapsed on the ground. It was so incredibly good, and I was like, whoa, this guy is a phenomenon. Like he was so cute, and he was so amazing, and we were obsessed with each other. Like we were platonically in love with each other. And I remember his girlfriend saying, she was the jealous type, and I remember her saying, you're the only woman that I would let him be friends with because I know I was in a relationship with a woman.
Oh, that's what made her comfortable, the fact that you weren't necessarily attracted to men.
Yes, it wasn't.
Or so she thought.
But necessarily being the operative word. Because now when I'm looking back on it, I almost kind of question, I think I might have been the man in that situation, in the sense that if he had turned around and said, because I always get the feeling, so let me not get off track. Okay. My history is that I had a lot of male friends, especially in college. There was no feelings whatsoever me out to the males. I just didn't think I didn't even need to compartmentalize. It just was not a thing for me. Then two of my male best friends made comments to me at a certain point that indicated that they either did or had thought about me in a sexual way. And I felt so violated. So different from you, like it did matter to me that they were thinking of me that way. I felt it really bothered me, actually, because I was thinking, what? Like, I think of you as a brother, and that's like disgusting to me, basically. And I also feel that it was almost the feeling of like you're undressing me without my consent. It just felt bad to me. I don't know why. It did matter to me. I didn't like that. I felt like victimized.
And it's funny because I've always been of the when it was like, oh, you and I could, and I'm like, so it's never gonna happen. Get your head out of that, and then just go on about my day. Like I didn't get emotions. Like I didn't have those emotions underneath that. I didn't have that because I don't know why. I don't know.
I see that as a sign of power, though.
Yeah, it was
Like
just I
you
would
are
just say it like what it
self-possessed.
was or what it wasn't, and then we can go on, move on. And
Yeah.
now that I know you have those things, I'm watching you watch me, and then I can check it whenever I need to. And what that does is it makes me know what settings and what situations I can allow you into. Like it starts to make me
Really?
look at how much I trust you. But it never got to like ill. Like
Really?
you're supposed to look at me like that. I'm hot.
What? Okay. For me, it was like you poisoned the well, and now I can't even really be friends with you anymore because we are not on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. So then I kind of woke up to it. I got hip to it, and I thought, oh, just because I am not feeling anything or seeing anything there does not mean that you don't. And then that goes back to my friend with the grilled cheese thing, is that I think I can, but there's always a little something on your end, possibly. So I do think the whole thing with Harry Met Sally is that he was saying that men and women can't be friends because of the sex thing. Then she says she has all these friends. Then basically he says, yeah, and they all want to have sex with you. And then she asks him, well, what if, because he's saying if it's a woman he's attracted to. And then she says, well, what if it's a woman you're not attracted to? And then he says, no, we pretty much want to have sex with them too. So what he's saying is that men are just by nature more sexual. So then maybe men always have a little something on their end. But I've always gotten the feeling after that initial like two friends kind of violating what I thought was a boundary, I then kind of got the feeling with certain men that yes, nothing's acknowledged here, but if I were to say, hey, let's go right now, they'd be all about it, So I kind of, that's sort of where I am closer to currently. But with that guy that I was like platonically in love with, I think I might have been that one. Like if he had said, I'm leaving my partner, and this is only in retrospect, I wasn't aware of this at the time, but I think if he had said like, I'm leaving my partner and I want to be with you, I can't say for sure that I wouldn't have been able to turn what I thought was that platonic relationship around. I think I was kind of like in a weird way in love with him. And I don't know if that could have tipped over into something not platonic or not. But that brings me to what my friend, the guy who I interviewed, said is he basically said, women do the same thing. They just go about it in different ways. So for me, the thing that would have tipped me over into it not being platonic would have been how much love there was here. It wouldn't have been sexual first. It would have been love first. So it would have been the relationship we already have is what would have tipped me over. Whereas maybe with the guy, the attraction would have led. For me, it was like the relationship led. So I don't know if that's the difference.
I feel exactly the opposite. So the relationship is what would keep me. Even if I had an attraction to a friend, the relationship is what would keep me from acting on it simply because the relationship is more valuable to me than what could come from a hiccup in an attempt at
like it's not worth it to risk the relationship.
It's not worth the risk.
Huh. So you just shut the door and that's easy.
I would have shut the door for me.
Huh. Really?
I've done that. I've done it like,
I can't do that. It's not worth
risking my relationship.
Once the seed is planted, like I don't think I could even be around you without feeding that energy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't unthink that.
DOA for me.
If I even had that seed planted with one of my male friends, I could never not think it.
Interesting.
Yeah. It would like skew the whole thing. It's like either I see you as my brother or I do not. But if I don't, because of the way that I grew up on all those romantic comedies, I think I would be thinking, well, what did he mean by this? Was this innuendo? Was this like, I think if the door was even open a crack, like, I don't know. I think that would just change the nature of everything because then I would be thinking differently about it.
Interesting.
Guess I tried. Guess I tried.
So then there's this, when you talk about the societal assumption versus personal experience, the societal assumption is basically that they can be friends, but there's always going to be something underlying there, right? And so then my question is, do you believe that platonic friendships, there are some people that just believe that a platonic male and woman friendship can always has the opportunity to turn into something, an encounter, or even a full-on relationship. Does that belief make the platonic friendships less valuable? Especially if one person is always thinking about what could this be? And that, because that to me
Yeah.
takes away from what it is.
Yeah. So, first of all, I do think that male-female platonic friendships can be possible. And I
Mhm.
want to go into one more anecdote before I answer that question, because
Okay.
but it has to do with the societal assumptions.
Okay.
So, like I said, the When Harry Met Sally thing, the presumption is that the sexual impulse is always on the male side of things, right? You challenged that with
Yeah, I
your
disagree.
history. Yes, yes. So, the person that I interviewed this morning, I'm going to tell you what she said because I wrote it down. So, she said she's going to be more in line with you in the sense that she's more like archetypally male. She's the archetypal
Mhm.
male energy. So she said, I can tell you that I've effed every single one of my male friends. I went down the line. I went down the line, and there was only one person I just couldn't get there, but I'm pretty sure he would have taken it in a heartbeat. And then she said, you love them. There's a reason you're hanging out with them. There's so much love. All of my male friends, they're so handsome and sweet and kind-hearted, and there, within an arm's reach,
Mhm.
just right there.
The exposure.
Yes, yes. And they're just there and available. And because
Yeah.
for her, sex is transactional,
Mhm.
it is just an easy thing to do. And for her, there are no emotions attached to this at all.
Mhm.
So she said, I've always had a really strange separation between feelings and sex. It took me a while to even have feelings during sex. And then basically she said, I asked, well, what is the kind of dismount from that? Like, what was it like? Okay, so you had sex with all your male friends, and then what was it like afterwards? And she basically just said she never felt awkward about it. And if they did, she never
Mhm.
even noticed.
Mhm. Because there's something inherent that happens when you have more testosterone than your male friends. So what
Yeah, what
happens
is
is
that like?
they almost feel ashamed to admit that they've caught the feelings, and they won't usually until there's something that's threatening. Like, say I found a person that I actually want to date, and so I have to end this like, hey, this was cool. I'm done. I'm over it though, because I found someone that I want to be in a relationship with.
Mm,
And it was like, hey, why didn't you consider me? Like, that wasn't what it was. What?
yes.
That wasn't what
Yeah.
this was, you
And then
know?
the reason why I was interviewing this specific person is because she has a male best friend. So
Mhm.
the thing about the societal assumptions is I have noticed, remember how a couple episodes I also said it's like the culture that I'm currently inhabiting is very like mono. It is heteronormative. There is exactly one
Yes.
path you can take. It is to get married to a person of the opposite sex and then to procreate with them. And that
Mhm.
is not how what I was exposed to when I lived in Manhattan. It was like this friend over here, they have an open relationship. This person over here is polyamorous, this person's gay, this person's whatever, this person's in
Mhm.
actually like a three-way relationship. There was just a whole lot of ways to be.
A lot going on, child.
And that is what I was exposed to. But then when I came back here, I noticed that there were not a lot of examples of my female friends who are in heterosexual relationships. They don't go out to dinner with male friends alone.
Interesting.
And I was like, "What?" So, I'll give you an example actually of Luke, who's my male best friend. When Luke and I had that falling out, I talked about it in that what was that episode? Real
Mm,
Friends Keep Receipts,
yes.
which was about our relationship and how I lost that relationship for a number of years. And then I got it back. And during the time period where we were estranged, I was speaking with one of my guides, let's call them, about that relationship because I was really mourning the loss of that relationship. We've known each other since we're 4. I consider him a brother to me. And I was like crying and crying over it. And she said to me, well, even if you were to get back into a friendship with him, it could never be the same. And I was like so shocked. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I literally had no idea what she was talking about. And she said, because of Herschel. And I was like, huh? Like, that did not compute.
Not knowing that he has all of the...
Yes, that is true. That kind of came to light later. But even just the idea that it's just like, what? That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. I can't go out to dinner with my friend because I'm in a relationship with a man. Like mind blown.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like I'm looking around, and I'm just not seeing it. I'm not seeing it.
I really think there is something going on there because even when I think about how Corey would come into town, stay at my house, we would sleep in the same bed. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah,
you sleep
I
in
used
here,
to have
have a
that
big old
too.
king size bed. Sleep in
Yeah.
here. You know, you don't have to sleep on the sofa or a air mattress. You're that's like my family member. You sleep in here.
Yes.
And we go to dinner and we hike together and we do all these things. But you have to think, I was in a committed relationship the whole time.
And
so I think that there
is
was
a real
sometimes
boundary.
a side eye, but he also knew that Corey was here before he was here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he really couldn't
Yeah.
say anything.
So that's when you get to that it kind of does also depend on the partner.
Yeah.
My partner is supportive of my relationship with Luke, and to an extent my one other close male friend, he's also very supportive, and then the other one he doesn't really know that well, and you know, we'll see if that like raises any alarm bells for him, but I don't think it will. And he has all these women friends too, so I think we're kind of on the same footing. But just back to my friend who I had interviewed this morning, her friend who's the platonic relationship, it's just, she's so similar to you. It's someone who she did hook up with at one point, and the book is just closed.
It's
so
closed.
when I
It's
asked her
done.
about him, she was like, yeah, him, blech, best friend, love him, but no. And she says, and I'm absolutely positive that is not from his side either. So it is possible. It is also rare. And then back to your original question, I think I'm going to turn that one around to you. So what do you think about the inherent value of these platonic relationships if they're not completely platonic, or where do you fall on that?
No, I think that it depends on both parties, honestly, because you have to know the mindset of both parties to be able to honestly say if it's truly platonic. Like you said, what if the other person is gay? Some people are gay and don't know they're gay. But what if the person is gay and that's the reason that they're not looking at you like that, right? Well, then is the friendship really what it is? And here's the thing, the best things come out of those friendships. The best things come out of those friendships because you can literally get the male perspective to a degree without all the extra.
But that is platonic then in that case.
It's platonic. It is
Because
platonic.
they cannot see you that way. And then if you're not seeing it that way too, then it's
mutual.
most
valuable. It's most valuable. But then I think if you have
does it tarnish it to have... Yeah.
If you have that mature male that understands boundaries and understands respects your outlook on this, then they can shut the door. Like, even if they once thought or hoped or, whatever, that there could be something, but that they love and care enough about you to say, yeah, that door's shut. It's never going to happen. So now let me just be here, be present, and be free to be the friend that I can be to her.
And does that add or detract from the value, to turn that question back around on you?
I think
the fact
when that person is capable of
overcome.
doing that, when the person is capable of shutting it down, out of respect and out of all the things, then that's where the value for the platonic relationship truly comes. But as long as it's lingering, I feel as long
It's
as
a
the
value
lid is
add.
off on the possibility of there possibly being something, even in one person's mind, then I think that there is that underlying innuendo, or there's always this hope. So even if I ask you a question from a male perspective, you're always going to answer that question in a way that makes me look at you in a more romantic, pleasant light. Instead of saying the truth, whatever the actual absolute truth is about that thing. So I think that it's more nuanced than a lot of us give credit for.
Yeah. And
So
one closing thought with that. So in my conversation with my male friend, he's telling me basically that by extension, he also, when he's having conversations with me about his future or whatever, there would be inherently innuendo there, because he's saying that he is feeling like that for all his female friends.
Right.
And so then then the ball's back in my court. Like, how do I feel about the open acknowledgement via this conversation that we basically just acknowledged that? And I'm the type of person that, even though I would never cross a certain boundary, I also love to dance with other people's energies. And I think I'm unusual in that way.
I certainly don't.
Yeah, I'm always in the dance. And there's nothing actionable with this at all. But I'm always in the dance. And so the thing is that it was actually fine. It was this kind of breakthrough thing where it's like, yeah, this is the reality of it. The reality of it is acknowledged. And I guess the agreement was that it does not detract from the value, and that because we are both adults with a respect for the boundaries and the definitional boundaries of the fact that, we're both committed to other people, which was one of the When Harry Met Sally conditions as well. There isn't going to be any entertainment of this possibility.
Right. Ever.
It's just not, because if there was, that would change the nature of the friendship for me so much. So it was really cool, because it was like, there's so much love here. There's also an acknowledgement that we are man and woman. So there's like this mutual attraction that's slightly different than like the attraction I have for my female friends, because like for my female friends, I actually really do feel 100% platonic for them in spite of my sexual orientation, interestingly enough. But we basically just overcame what could be an obstacle. And then the payout or the payoff is that we get to have this friendship with the person of the opposite sex, which means that we get to really understand. Like, I struggle to understand the male perspective. So he's now this wealth, this resource for me, that there's so much love here, but then also I can go to him and get a perspective that I couldn't get from 99% of my support network.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I need the male perspective, because that's a place that I struggle to get to. So his friendship is so valuable to me.
So it's like going to a safari. You can come out alive or you can come out dead. Either way, you're coming out.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
This was good. Let's go into these recipes.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do the just be friends flatbread. Just friends flatbread. Just go ahead and be friends, honey. Just friends flatbread.
Yes.
Simple ingredients that complement without overpowering. Go.
Okay. I love these little recipes. The one that just popped into my head right away, I have been getting really into figs lately.
Really?
I love a fig. Yeah, because I went over to my friend Meryl's house, who lives on the waterfront property, and she had this little thing. It was like a fig bisected. So like a circle of fig, like a thin sliced circle of fig. It was on top of this little, those like dark crackers. They often have like raisins or cranberries in them. And then she had just a little smear of goat cheese and then just a little drizzle of honey. And figs are beautiful.
Sounds good, actually.
Yeah, and figs are really beautiful. So I am going to talk about a fig goat cheese arugula flatbread. Ooh. And you can do it also with blue cheese if you want. Blue cheese is a little heavy-handed. You have to really love blue cheese, or just use less of it if you want to do that. But it's basically just a flatbread, and then it has figs. You do caramelized onions, and then you just do a nice creamy goat cheese and some arugula. That's it.
Oh, okay.
I know. Just top it right on there and bake it.
I love that. I've not been a real fan, or I've been a fan of them. I've not been a master of flatbreads, but one that I've tried recently, I don't know if you call it I make it a flatbread, but it's the recipe of more of a pancake, but I make it as a flatbread. So I take a sweet potato, boil it, cut it up, put some egg in it, put a little sesame seeds in it, and flatten it, and put a little bit of avocado oil on a very large skillet. And then I'll fry it on both sides. And then you can take that flatbread and you can layer it with any kind of cheese because you have the texture of the potato. It's great with any kind of cheese and any kind of vegetable. And what I did recently was I used it with feta cheese and some of my cherry tomatoes sauteed in olive oil with a little bit of Italian seasoning. It was so good. So good.
I bet it was.
That was really good. So that's my Just Friends flatbread for today. Jen, if ever there was a time that I wished that we had a call-in feature, it's this episode.
Yes.
This is the episode that I'd like to get a lot lot of opinion on to see how other people fare, because these are real relationships. These are things that people are dealing with every day, or scenarios that people are navigating every day. So if we had a call-in feature, I really wish
I want to
today.
hear all the incarnations
I know
of this.
you do.
Yes, I do. You know I do.
So this has been
Curious
yet another
minds need to
great
know.
episode of the What's the Temp podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Betina. Be great on purpose.
Have a great 24. Peace.
Bye.
Calling you up at 2 in the morning, but you don't wanna talk, you don't wanna bother. Yeah, so I took another shot, let my brain do the walking. I don't wanna be a friend, I want something real. Maybe if I stay the night, you could feel the same. And maybe if you treat me right, we could rearrange. But I'm not even gonna try if you don't wanna stay. So how's it gonna be? You got me on my knees. I don't need no roses on my bed. If I could pull you closer to me, babe, ain't nobody touch me like you can.